Hey nature photographers, it's Lee Hoy here with another video. As I like to say, your generally friendly OM system ambassador, and this is the video I know you've been waiting for. I'm going to talk about my experiences in the field with the new 100-400 version 2 lens. Went with me to India and then Florida for my OM system mastering bird and flight workshop. That's where I actually used it the most. I used it in both locations. I am going to talk to you about my experience, my thoughts. Should you upgrade if you have version 1? If you don't have it at all, is it a good purchase? Stay tuned. We'll come right back. I'm going to fill you in. Hello, my name is Lee Hoy, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Lee Hoy Photography. I'm an OM System Ambassador, Senior Workshop Instructor for Wildside Nature Tours. I'm a workshop instructor for precision camera and video, and a contributing author for the Journal of Wildlife Photography. Well, let's talk about the new 100-400 version 2 lens. I had the opportunity to use it in a variety of conditions. We had very cold mornings, but always very dusty in India. We had some very warm evenings, so I was shooting in a lot of dust and haze. I was shooting very early and very late in the day. And in Florida, same thing. We were out on a boat in the mornings, photographing osprey, rookeries, snail kites. So I had the chance to put this thing to the test at some very high ISOs, and both on mammals and birds. I had the chance to test it on dogs and cats and a variety of situations. Now, first off, let me set a couple of things in order. It's very hard not to compare a lens, a long super telephoto lens, to the 150-400. But in my mind, when I was using it, I tried to flush out thoughts of comparing it to that lens. It's not a fair comparison. One lens costs $7,500. This lens is under $2,000. So that's not comparing apples to apples. It's an unfair comparison. What I try to keep in mind is comparing it as an entry-level wildlife photography lens, and that's what this lens is. So I did my best not to think about the fact that I wasn't shooting at times with a 150-400. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It was my first trip to India, and I had some critical tiger opportunities. Make no mistake, I picked up the 150-400 in that case. I didn't want to risk shots that I knew I could nail with the 150-400. I did use it on some tigers. Also, the vehicles in India, the Jeeps, are pretty small. Having a 150-400, a backpack, another photographer, and 2 super telephoto lenses proved to be quite challenging at times. So while I was out in the field, I allowed a client on each workshop who asked to shoot the lens. One client in India already owns the 150-400. He's in his 70s, he's aging, and he was very happy with the lightweight, with the performance of the lens, and I wouldn't be surprised if perhaps he will downsize from the 150-400. The other client, during the Florida Mastering Birds and Flight workshop, she owned version 1 and wanted to try version 2, and she too was very happy with the lens. She shot it for a full morning from a boat while we were out photographing. I believe it was osprey. I think that was the morning she used it. Both clients were very happy with the lens. So what I experienced, and so again, I want to reiterate, I'm not comparing this to the 150 to the 400. I'm not comparing it to the 300. I'm not comparing it to the 150-600. I'm going to compare this lens to the prior lens. The number one thing I found was that the autofocus to me was much more responsive and much more on point. I didn't question whether or not it was going to do pretty well. By the way, I shot it on an OM1 Mark II body every time I used it. And I had the 150-400 on an OM1. So for me, I was very impressed with the autofocus performance. Grab the eyes when the eyes were visible, grab the bodies. I felt like the responsiveness had improved quite a bit. I could also tell a dramatic difference in the image stabilization. For me, I did not feel like I just had this constant shake like I did with version 1. I will show you some images throughout this video, and here's an image that I captured. I believe it's ISO 20,000. I'll double check that when I post it to the video. Now, this image is slightly cropped, not a lot, maybe 30%. And I can be honest with you and tell you, no, this is not the same result I would get with the 150-400, but by God, for another $6,500 or so, better not be the same quality. If you had a lens that was under $2,000 that performed at the same level as a $7,500 lens, things wouldn't be, you wouldn't be selling much of your better lens. So I will tell you that for the average bird photographer, the birder who just wants to capture images, this lens is worth an upgrade. It does perform better at higher ISOs, and a key to that is using software, as I've mentioned in many other videos, like DxO Pure Raw, Topaz Photo AI. I prefer DxO. At a minimum, Lightroom's Enhance. But I found that I wasn't afraid to use the lens. Now, again, for a couple of absolutely critical moments with tigers, I had my 150-400. I would go back and forth. Because of the size of the Jeeps, or a couple of days, I just didn't take it out with me to help minimize space. And then, of course, I let clients use it. But I no longer feared whether or not autofocus was really going to do a good job. And yeah, it was nice shooting with a smaller lens. I definitely won't deny that. Yeah, the smaller size and length compared to the 150-400 is sure handy. What will I do as an OM System ambassador? I mean, I don't really have a need to own the 100-400. I already have a 300. I have a 150-400. And it would be very hard to pry the 150-400 out of my lens, out of my hands. But if you are looking for a good quality, entry-level, wildlife, sports lens, I can tell you I'm 100% convinced this is worth an upgrade, assuming you have the funds to do it. The image stabilization, the autofocus response, the way it handled high ISO. Oh, and the ISO 20,000 image that I showed you, that's at 1/50th of a second. So I also pushed my luck to see how low I could go in a few situations. And that 1/50th of a second was photographing from the top seat in an open air Jeep. And the dust was the thickest I've ever seen. Here's a picture of my beard after a full day out in India. Look at the red. That red is dirt. No problems with dust getting in this lens. No problems whatsoever. And it was the dustiest conditions I've ever photographed in my life. So the lens held up well. The lens performed like I'd hoped. You know, obviously you lose a little light compared to the 150-400, but I kept telling myself it over and over, do not compare this lens to that lens. Compare it to someone who's looking for an entry level, and that is what this is. This is an entry level wildlife or sports photography lens. And I think you'll be very happy if you keep my regular recommendations in mind. Fast enough shutter speed. Many of you are older and you cannot handhold this as low as you think you can. So 1/1000th of a second minimum when you're zoomed out to 400 millimeters, 1/1000th of a second shutter speed. After you capture some nice sharp shots at a faster shutter speed, then if you want to reduce your ISO and go with a slower shutter speed, then by all means. Number one mistake my clients make in wildlife photography is too slow a shutter speed because they're afraid of a higher ISO. So, fast shutter speed. Don't crop the crap out of your image. Now, I cropped the ISO 20,000 image like 30%. If you start with a sharp shot, if you know how to post-process, if you use DxO Pure Raw 4, guess what? You can crop your images, okay? But if you start off with a blurry shot, underexpose, brighten it, and you don't have a good noise reduction and sharpening software, you're going to complain about the quality of this lens. It has nothing to do with this lens. It's all about the shooter, plain and simple. So was I happy with the results? Yes. Am I confident in recommending this lens? Yes. Will it replace my 150-400? Absolutely not. Would it replace my 300? I would probably go with the 150-600 for the reach, because I really did miss that 200 millimeters at times. There were times it was nice having this lens where the lighter weight and a closer subject didn't bother me. So I hope that you know that all my reviews, and for those of you that have watched a lot of my videos, you know I'm bluntly honest. Version 1 of this lens, I really couldn't recommend it. Version 2, wholeheartedly recommend. Again, using the principles that I've taught in this video, in other videos, learn how to post-process. I am now working on my OM System Mentorship program Part 3, the post-processing element. I hope to have that ready later this year. So you can learn how to master your post-processing as well as master your gear. That is my review from my in-the-field experience with it. I was quite happy with the results, and I feel confident. Now, if you haven't watched many of my videos and you are foolish enough to post comment about, well, you're an OM System ambassador, you're going to say positive things, well, then you're being an idiot. You should watch more of my videos to know that I don't always say positive things if I don't believe them. I only work with gear that I have a good feeling about. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope it was helpful. Again, if you purchase gear through my link, my affiliate link, if you buy $2,500 worth or more, I will give you a free 1-hour online class to help set up your camera or discuss any topic related to nature photography. Thanks again, guys. It's Lee Hoy. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to Argentina to see my girlfriend. Bye-bye.